computer. All right. Welcome to session 9 of our new campaign, Ravenloft, Vanity's Bloodsong. Ravenloft is the D&D classic horror setting, and as such, this campaign will include themes of horror. You have been warned. That said, we like to keep things PG-13, and now let's introduce our players and their characters, starting with Tommy.
Hello, I'm Tommy, and I play the halfling cleric / barbarian, Odelia Almiron, who is a cleric of Moiras, the water goddess. And I think that Odelia's best friend in the group is probably Anduriel, because he she appreciates his sense of humor and very much.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
There's a lot I could say. I'm going to leave that on the table. There's a lot I could say there. Go ahead.
Come now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hey guys, I'm Ben. I play Morokan. He is the dragonborn cleric monk of Hamina. She's the goddess of the sun. And the character I probably get along the best with is, well, it's Sabella. And that's kind of a big obvious one if you've watched any of the previous seasons. But yes, that's the member of the fellowship I probably get along the best with, outside of of the our current group. But if we're including the current group, I probably get along best with Thora.
Why?
What? Why?
Yeah. Well,
Because
Tommy said why. I think everyone should have to.
Because he doesn't fight back like Anduriel does. Because if Anduriel would just be a little less prickly, I would give him bigger hugs.
So Thora is a little more passive, and
Hence the
Morokan.
prickliness.
Yeah, I gotcha.
You made it sound like it was a reward for him to get hugs. That said, hi everybody. I'm JT. I play Anduriel, the vampire cleric of Naylock. Naylock being the god of death, of shadow, of vengeance, all things. Who is his BFF? Anduriel's best friend in the coalition is Anduriel. But choosing outside of himself, I would have to agree it's Odelia. He appreciates her ferocity in battle. He appreciates that once the rage takes her, that's it, and it's game on, and he loves to watch. And he sometimes doesn't get the motherliness, but he appreciates it. So
Sweet.
Because his mom tried to kill him all the time. Sorry.
No, you can. It is me. I'm John. I play Thora Mikitas, the druid of Finhafara, goddess of the earth and nature and all that good stuff. Lots of flowers too, occasionally. But his best friend in the fellowship, or the person he sees most eye to eye on, I actually if we're going within the group and outside of the group, I think I actually have 3 then. I think he saw the most eye to eye with Aelin. He's the only one who can get along with Sister Fadaver. And in the group, I think he's closest to Morokan. Just because from just a logical perspective, I think big dude plus small dude equals like a really good team dynamic. Like they work incredibly well off one another. Even like big scary dude versus small passive dude who can social interactions work really well too.
Not so much good cop, bad cop, more like big cop, little cop.
And I think Citra Fadaver, who I play on the previous seasons, I think she definitely likes Thora the most, probably because they were friends previously. But I think the reason is because she wouldn't notice if he disagreed with her, and so that really fits quite well. I don't know that she notices when a ton of people disagree with her, but in the fellowship there are so many strong personalities that Thoris is the only one where she doesn't get that he's disagreeing with her. He knows how to handle her well.
Yeah,
And I think she likes lavender
Matt
too.
and I have played off each other. Yeah. Matt
I
and
would
I have
agree.
played off each other in interesting ways where essentially Thora would be like, Sister Fadaver, you're being a little extreme. And she'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I trust you. So
Yeah,
I'll bring it down a little.
just a little. Bring it down. You're in an 11. I need you at a 7. Yeah. Yeah, and she kind
She'll
of
compromise
operates.
and go to an 8. She'll
Yeah,
go to an 8.
she kind of operates at a 10 or a 9 most of the time. Anyway, I am Sage of Sorcery, also known as Matt, your humble dungeon master for the evening. And with those brief introductions and little moments to get to know, can't wait to hear what Poinket says about that. We will now do a short recap with creepy music, no less. In our last game, the characters battled Madam Desteria, the vampire Vistani Seer. In the course of the battle, the Vistani vampire's tent came alive and attempted to strangle Thora and Enduriel. And she turned the power of the deck of fate against them as well, as bats and wolves flew in and out of the tent, attacking at her command. After almost slaying various members of the party, Madam Desteria was finally forced to assume gaseous form, and she flew down a drain that nobody knew was beneath her tent, except that Thora managed to expose it when he sundered the earth with his channel divinity power. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we pick things up at this point. You are in the tent of Madam Desteria. The pitch black has returned as the fire of Odelia's Hellfire Lance goes out, and you're all standing 2 squares down in the dirt beneath her tent. And that is where you find yourselves, in that pit with that hole in the ground before you, that drain that Thora's power exposed. And that is where
Was
Madam
there
Desteria flew
was there any
down.
furniture that fell in there with us or anything? Was there any like chairs or tables or
No, I don't think so. I think you, because you did it in front of the table on the map, if I'm remembering correctly. But
Yeah.
Morocon did fall down and in there, and that little card with the skull is still circling above his head, keeping him he looks dead for all intents purposes. But that card continues to circle him. Is there anything anybody wants to do while Morocon is dead?
I want to send some bugs to devour the card. I want the card to go away.
You made that attempt actually already, and if you remember, the bugs moved through the card.
Oh, that's right.
and Duriel's gonna pretend to go over and check on him
Mhm.
and see if he can like tie his hands together with his tail.
I don't think my tail is actually that long.
Okay, so as you two are looking, Odelia, you were standing right on top of her when you skewered her, and Madam Desteria became smoke, which is what happens in D&D classically. When you drop a vampire to 0 hit points, they're forced to assume gaseous form, which she did. So Odelia, you turn around as the last wisps of her go down that drain that is exposed, and you see Anduriel leap forward past you because he was right next to you, and just as the fire goes out on your Hellfire Lance because combat ends, you see him messing with Morocon's tail, like flipping, like just, and that's the last thing you see as the light winks out. You guys are now in pitch black darkness again.
Here's
I'm
my
gonna
question.
say-
Okay.
Since he jumped past me before the light went all the way out, do I have to take an opportunity attack against him?
No, we'll assume that the rage left you.
Oh, okay.
But that is an excellent question. We'll assume that the rage left you at the end of combat, because technically the encounter ended with her disappearance. And so the encounter was over, and then poof, seconds later, the rage. But maybe as he went past you, you did feel this sudden urge to slap him. But you,
Well, and he's saying as he's going over, "Dragon, are you okay? Dragon." And he's gonna kind of be like, "Oh, that tail's not worth. I can't do anything with this tail at all." So he's just gonna put his finger in his nose and be like, "The dragon seems dead, you guys."
okay. Morocon, make a saving throw, please. 1 die 20. And you're muted. There you go. What's that? Okay, Morocon, you're still dead. So Anduriel, you shove his finger up his nose. And there's light over there because of the card. The enchantment on the card is giving off a very faint light. So Odelia and Thora, you can just see the top of Anduriel's head illuminated, just only slightly.
So, Odelia, as the rage fades, just kind of is coming to herself, like not even sure where she is or what's going on anymore. But if I see Morocon in the glow of the card, can I run over and cast Cure Serious Wounds?
You absolutely could. However, Morocon has no visible injury with which you can heal. So you're reasonably sure, knowing your own powers, that there's no wound to close. Unfortunately.
I'll go over there and look and like check him over, and then just be like at a loss for how to help.
Well, you're kind of feeling around in the dark, so make a perception check.
All right. Gotta get my digital dice out because they're doing way better for me than real dice. And that's a nat 20.
Okay. So Odelia, you reach over and you kind of do this, just kind of play. You've got your hands in the exact position, and you're so in tune with the space around him that you discern that he's not breathing.
Can I try to cast, like, because could it be like internal? Like, can I tell if he is unconscious because of some internal injury, or can I tell if it's some kind of magical effect?
You can make an Arcana check or a heal check.
Okay, I am going to make an Arcana check. I don't know what's heal. What's a heal check?
Heal is a skill. If you don't have it, then you'd probably rather make an Arcana check.
I don't. Oh, I do have Arcana actually. That's a 14.
Okay, so it seems like he's under some kind of a spell. And the thing is, you doubt that the card or the effect of the card would still be prevalent if it weren't possible to dispel it. But you guys don't really have the dispel magic. You get the impression that Moralcon's probably internally battling the enchantment, but his mind is just too weak to overcome the power of the spell at the moment. And that would be Odelia's turn, feeling around and kind of like looking at the card. Thora, anything you want to do? You want to stick his other finger up his other nose? Oh, Odelia,
no.
You also feeling around realize his finger is jammed firmly up his nose.
Angelia, that's gross. What are you doing?
I know it's gross. Can you imagine the odds of falling down into a pit and having that happen? That is crazy. Disgusting.
Gross.
Thora, anything you want to do? You want to hit him with your staff, shove the other finger up there?
Nat, Thora's gonna climb out of the pit and head over to the table, see if he can light any like candles or anything.
Interestingly enough, she does have some candles on that table.
Don't light them. Probably dark magic.
Yeah.
It's fine. And he's gonna try and get us some light.
Okay. So Thora, you do manage to light a candle on her table after a minute. You
the
pull out
flame goes black and 3 witches appear.
Yeah. Nothing so awful as that. It is a little bit creepy as you realize that this is not just the lair of or the tent of a Vistani Seer, but it's the lair of a vampire. And it still feels pretty icky, given that.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like her presence hasn't faded from the tent, and you feel menace from the tent itself. Like going near any of the edges or the flaps of the door would be dangerous.
Do I see the other Vistani woman?
Yeah. Now that you have lit up a candle, she's standing in the corner of the tent, just kind of catching her breath. And she comes over and she says, You defeated her. I did not believe. I am most impressed with your efforts. And
Well,
and then she looks like, oh, like I shouldn't have said that.
well, unfortunately, she got away. But we do have a friend down in the pit who needs a bit of assistance. And
The dragon, he must be somewhat weak-willed, I see. He is under the effects of an enchantment. That is unfortunately the effect of my sister's magical deck. Have you perhaps heard of the Deck of Fate? It is a most famous magical item.
have I?
You can make an Arcana check.
I'll try. That's one of the skills I don't have.
Odelia, you can hear her. You can make an Arcana check too.
Okay.
Nope. I got a 5 plus 5 for 10.
Thora, the Deck of Fate was when you were growing up and the neighborhood bully like punched you in the face and you were unlucky enough. Like,
Yeah.
Odelia?
18.
Okay, Odelia, you have heard of the Deck of Fate. It is a powerful magical item of chaos. It's the kind of thing that Aylin's church would have created, right? A Deck of Fate is a whimsical magical item that you can draw cards from, that sometimes they're beneficial, like you'll draw a card and your ability score will permanently go up. And the other time you'll draw a card and it'll turn into a dragon and attack you. I mean, it's really a famous D&D magical item. And anybody who's studied magic in any kind of a formal way, the way that Odelia has, would have heard of it. It's quite a well-known magical item. But she says, yes, this deck, unlike the normal Deck of Fate, every drawing of the card is ill fortune, is bad end, is a terrible item to have. But it looks as though your friend has not broken the spell. Moroccan, you can make another save now.
All right, we'll try a different D20 now and see if this one.
Good luck.
Do
to
it.
you.
You can do it. You can do it.
Do it, Moroccan.
What is that, Moroccan?
So
Is 4?
I rolled a 9.
Okay.
Ah,
Unfair.
Are we
Moroccan,
gonna live
Out of
more?
curiosity,
Yes.
I have part of my myself being a seer
Mhm.
class. I do have foretelling. Could
Yes.
I use that?
You
possibly
absolutely can.
for... Cool. Then I save.
Okay. So
It's a 14. So I
Moroccan, at some point, having looked into the future and realized that you were going to be facing this, it comes into your mind that you actually saw this happen already. And you're like, oh, this is happening now. This is why I'm like floating in a dark void. And you're like, okay, I saw this happening. And how did I see him? And then you see yourself waking up. And suddenly, as you see yourself waking up, you break out of the spell, the card vanishes, and Moroccan, you go, and you draw in this deep, like raspy, gasping breath, and Odelia and Anduriel are on top of you, and your fingers in your nose.
oh, thank
And it's
goodness he's
wedged up there too. Like you're like, it's hard to get out for a minute.
So you hear this. So you hear this weird like getting it out, and then it's like super dark right now, right? Okay, so the last thing I remember is Madam Desteria, and everything is dark.
And you're in a pit.
And I'm in a pit.
And there's somebody
laying
with a
down.
candle above you.
Right. So
And Odelia
I'm going
and
to
Anduriel on top of you.
So so I'm probably going to stand up.
Okay.
and I'm going to channel divinity.
Okay.
I have the flute.
And just be like on guard, on ready.
Okay,
Like,
would you make if you would please, would you make a religion check?
26.
Okay. All right, 26. You grab your holy symbol and shout out what? As you channel divinity.
Well, in
Yo,
my
Hamina!
head,
Bring the light, yo!
in my head, it's usually in my head, I say what I normally am supposed to say, which is Hamina, set ablaze all those who stand in your path. But I was just startled awake from the dregs of death, and so now it comes out more like a
Okay, so you yo Adrian your way through that channel divinity, and Moralcon explodes into light, and Duriel, you take 10 points of radiant damage. And you're muted, JT.
muted.
I resist radiant damage 6, so I take 4 points of radiant damage.
That is true, but Moralcon, doesn't it do extra radiant damage to the undead? Your channel divinity?
Actually, 6 plus
It-
half my level.
Yeah, all undead are treated as vulnerable 5.
Yeah, okay, so that was where the 10 came from, right? How much damage
Yeah.
does it normally do?
Well, it's 1d6 plus 3.
All right, so you need to roll
And
that. My
then-
bad. Go ahead and roll that. I
Right.
misspoke when I said 10.
So it's 6 damage. And
So
then
11 damage total, yes?
So all undead are vulnerable 5. Yeah. So
All right, so 11 damage, and Duriel, you resist how much?
I resist 11. 6 plus
Okay.
half my
Okay.
level.
All right, so Anduriel, he explodes into what seems like full sunlight as it, burns forth from the holy symbol, and your skin glows with a pale white angelic aura as it just kind of holds back the light, and your eyes kind of fill with a small white flicker as well as your angelic nature just kind of battles it off. You might sparkle just a little.
It's a battle of shine. Shiny. He's just gonna be like, whoa, easy, sunshine. Easy. This is a friend, little one, friend.
Good to see you awake, Moroccan.
Okay.
From above.
Yeah. Odelia, you also take 11 points of radiant damage. Or excuse me, 6,
Oh.
not 11.
Also
Then
doing
I'm
one of
out.
these.
I'm unconscious.
No, because
Oh.
when an encounter
Look
ends,
what you've done to the halfling.
you're not unconscious. When an encounter ends, you can use as many healing surges as you want.
I was going to do it as soon as you were finished with Moroccan, so I hadn't done it yet. So
Okay.
I'm just flat out.
All right. Moroccan, you explode with light. Odelia is knocked back and falls to the ground unconscious, and Duriel glows slightly. And Thora looks down at all of this chaos and says,
Oh, good lord.
okay.
Shielding his eyes from direct sunlight.
Oh, the
Okay.
love of shadow. I'm gonna use a healing word on Odelia and bring her back up.
Okay. So Odelia, you're back up. Moroccan, you gonna extinguish the light or keep it going?
Where is she? Where is Desteria?
Well,
So yeah, I'm gonna shout out where is she, and I'm gonna keep it on because it is dark inside, and I'm gonna keep it on for
Thora-
a little bit so we can see.
Thora with his hands raised, standing 2 squares above you outside of the pit. It's gonna be like, we managed to stop her, but she did manage to get away. You'll get your chance again, hopefully sooner rather than later. I know you were really excited for this one.
Okay. I'll turn off the sun. But as it goes darker, I'll breathe my fire into the fire flower so that we have light.
Okay.
Excellent idea.
Very nice. So Moralcon, you blow fire into your own chest, and that beautiful flower pendant that you have bursts into orange light and glows and illuminates everything around you. So we are all now bathed in light. And the Vistana woman who's upstairs looks down at Moralcon and goes like, "Whoa, fire!" Like she leans back and she says, "My goodness, he does have a fondness for illumination, does he not?"
He's quite good at it, yes, actually.
It would have been most useful during your battle.
Yes, it would have.
Yes, that would have been great.
It was a shame, no, that he was not present for the battle, but
I mean, we're okay.
you did remarkably well. I am very impressed with your skills. There is so much to tell you, but it would be my pleasure. And she keeps looking at the drain where the smoke went down. And she says, "But it seems to me that your battle is not quite finished yet."
Are you saying your sister's going to come back?
I have no sister.
Right. Are you saying the vapor vampire that just disappeared down the drain is going to come back?
I am saying
Soon.
that the evil that you have driven off is not yet vanquished, and someone must go down there and finish this task.
Well, Dragon, good morning. Welcome. Welcome back.
Well, I guess, how big is this drain? Is this something we can actually like go marching through? Okay, cool. So what are we supposed to do with this then?
Oh,
Can I
perhaps-
walk over? Can I walk over to the drain and like breathe fire like directly into it? Like,
Well, I mean, there are
If
a
only-
number of things. I mean, you could, I mean, I don't know, you tell me what you want to do, but no, the drain is big. I mean, it's the size of a head. You
And
could
there is-
maybe shove Odelia down it if she took off all of her armor and wriggled down. Like it's an uncomfortable, like what you would have to do to her to get her down the
No,
drain
no,
is
no,
probably
no.
not acceptable.
And
or
Duriel's
PG-13, so
turn to Thor and just be like, if only our group had someone who could, I don't know, turn into a swarm of bugs and go places where human people can't go. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I see what you mean. And like so I will bug.
you'll bug. Okay.
so Thora melts.
Stop, buggy
Yeah.
time.
Bug
Okay.
time.
So Thora is like, yes, and then just collapses
Good
into a
point.
pile of bugs. And you do that, and the other Vistana woman who's standing up there just goes, "Oh, he does that so as if it were nothing."
All of the bugs suddenly like heads shift.
Yeah.
So he is sort of to bugs what Morocon is to light. You know, it's sort of his thing. He does a very good job.
All right. She looks and says, "He is not the first druid that I have met, but I have never seen one before who could turn into a whole swarm of something. It is most impressive and creepy." So Morocon, you go moving down this drain, and it seems like it's
Or Thora does.
or Thora, excuse me. Yeah, Morocon, you do know that. Oh, Kobe. Anyway, you go skittering down this drain, Thora, and it actually moves down pretty straight down, right? Where your bugs just kind of start dropping or whatnot into this chamber. And Uriel, I would like you, if you would please,
Yes,
to
sir.
make an intelligence check.
All right.
So half your level and your intelligence modifier. That's it.
Oh, that's not bad.
Do the virtual backgrounds have bugs?
21. I don't have an intelligent modifier.
All right. So,
So,
that's just
it's
half your level.
21.
All right. So it occurs to you that if Thora were to coalesce you could leap down there via his shadow.
Oh my.
If you wanted to get down there, you can see down in the drain where he's dropped in. Whatever chamber he's dropped into seems to have at least enough light for him to cast a shadow.
So he's going to shout down the drain. All right, Thora, don't freak out, but I need you to stay where you're at. I'm going to leap into your tiny bug shadows. Here we go. He's going to go for it.
You can't leap into his tiny bug shadows. They're not big enough for you to come out of.
Oh, so
But I can
revert.
He would have to revert.
Okay.
If you try to come out as bug shadows, there's like, it's going to like put you through a colander and you're going to come out Enduri pieces.
Swiss cheese.
So, hey, Thora, if you could go back to being person and not bugs, I can join you down there in your shadow. I know it sounds sort of weird, but that's what we do.
There's like just a moment, and then you hear, "All right, I'm back to normal."
That was fast. Very well done, sir. And he's just gonna jump.
All right,
shadow.
You have to be able to see it. So Thora, you have to move to where your shadow is being cast underneath the drain. But it shouldn't be a too problem. So there's a bit of a jockeying. You're like, I need your shadow under there, and he's like, can you see it now? No, to the left, you idiot. Like, there's
make room.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of that. He's like hopping that, but you do manage to. So you descend down the drain, and it empties out into a large but comfortable underground chamber. It has rough dirt walls, but it has a stone floor that is covered in thick carpets with colorful Vistani patterns and floral patterns. So Anduriel, as he's looking around, kind of, getting the lay of the landing, this pleasant demeanor is contrasted with a table on which sit several skulls and the viscera of some poor dead creature on there.
Ugh.
So, I mean, whatever work was happening on that table was grisly. Also on that same table are a number of cards Madam Desteria appeared to be in the process of painting, depicting gruesome scenes of torture. You also look around, resting at the other end of the wall, you see there is a large chest with a lock on it on the other end of the wall on the right side. And on the left side, you can see a stand with kind of just an illumination over it and a book that is resting on top of it, kind of in a place of honor. And there is an inkwell and a pen, a feather pen next to it. And it's just kind of sitting there. Thora, if you make a knowledge nature check, I'll tell you what kind of feather it is. And Duriel, you pop up and you see all of this too.
Okay.
That's a natural 17.
Okay, so you get a
32.
38 or something. Okay,
He knows the name of the animal's cousin. He knows
so
everything.
it's really not hard as you sit there going
Gary.
through the
miss
kingdom,
him.
class, order, family, genus, species of everybody. You're like, oh yeah, that's very similar to the diagram. Or like, it's a feather of a Vistachiri. The Vistachiri are a species of blue. They kind of look like parrots almost. They've got these wild colors. They're yellows and reds and blues. And wherever the Vistani believe the Vistachiri are the spirits of their ancestors come back to watch over them, these birds. And so they say wherever you see the Vistachiri, the Vistani are nearby because you only find these birds near the Vistani. And it's a feather from a Vistachiri, and they're not a large species of bird. So this feather is awfully large for the species itself. And it's in an inkwell sitting right there. And there's a book sitting on top of there with a very special symbol on it. And I will bring that symbol up courtesy of our resident artist.
Screen share.
Benjamin.
Please be the 7-Eleven logo. Please be the 7-Eleven logo.
Blockbuster.
Yes, Hollywood Video, Block. I mean, all of the goods.
All right, give me just
Toys
one
R
moment
Us.
here,
Classics.
and I will make the attempt to screen share so that you can all see this.
Out
Boom,
of
shot.
curiosity.
Okay, can you see it?
Not yet.
Negative.
Not yet.
There
There
it is.
it is.
Ah.
Oh.
All right.
oh.
So this is the symbol, courtesy of our artist here, Benjamin. This is the symbol that you see on the cover of the book. It's a harp with a rose laid over it, and kind of a vine wrapped around it with thorns on it, kind of scenario. So you see that
Very
symbol
similar
on the
to the
cover of
flute.
the book, and no, you don't get to see that. Those are my notes. Anyway, so you see that to the left. To the right, in the right side of the room, there is a drip, 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 which is the only sound in the chamber of a slight water leak that's trickling down from the ceiling into a little pool on the left side of the chamber. And in the center of the chamber, resting at the other end of the aperture, like directly across from where you came in, is a large black coffin draped in heavy red and gold fabrics, resting on top of two wooden stands.
Out of curiosity, can Moroccan see? Can he see where they are, like down the drain?
You can see them, since they haven't indicated to me that they're any further in. You can just make out the top of their heads. Yeah.
Okay. About how far away are they?
They have moved down like at least 6 squares. It's quite the distance, but you could
Okay.
spit and probably hit them if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Instigator.
Yeah. Well, I am the DM.
Odelia.
It's my job to start
Odelia,
fights.
come here. Can you see down this drain?
She is gonna see how far she can poke her head down there.
Well, your head will fit in there. You can stick your head in the drain. You think you could wiggle down into it too, but you'd get horribly stuck.
I'm not interested in doing that at all. I just want to see what I can see.
And may I also tell you that it smells pretty bad, like pretty rank. You're a little surprised that you didn't notice it when you came into the tent. It's very possible Madam Desteria was masking it with magic. That's pretty much all you see.
I can't see anything more than you can. I'm sorry to
Would you
say.
be interested in heading down there?
No, it is too small for me.
If I could get you down there, would you be interested in being down there with the rest of the party?
I mean, it would depend on how you plan on doing it, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'll put my hand on her and I will do Divine Sun and we will teleport 8 squares down.
Oh,
But I
okay.
just have to be able to see where they're going. I would
Yeah.
assume, because I can't tell. It just
Mhm.
says I can teleport myself and an ally 8
Yeah.
squares. So
Oh, that's excellent.
All right.
Okay, so
Really
yeah.
smooth.
you see like a Star Trek like teleporting like and we just
All righty. So you guys all like right next to you, Anduriel and Thora, with no notice. There is a flash of sunlight, and then boom, Moroccan and Odelia are standing next to you.
And the little chamber is now lit because my little fire flower is still glowing.
Yeah,
So,
it's bright. You see the same thing. On the left side,
Ah.
you see that gruesome table. On the right side, you see that stand, that ceremonial looking stand with the book on top of it and the Vistachiri feather and the inkwell. And then in the center at the other end of the room, you see the coffin, and the only sound is drip, 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 drip. And the whole area that you're in feels like death. It just feels awful down here. You're reasonably sure,
Okay.
given that you're all clerics, that you're standing on unholy ground.
all right.
Is there any
Well,
sign of Madam Desteria?
Well, you don't
Or-
see her.
Are we pretty sure she's already gone in that coffin?
Well, if you
Wow.
make a religion check, I'll tell you what you might surmise.
Do all of us make that check?
Yes, you're all trained, so I think you all are trained.
Okie dokie.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not.
except for Odelia, she's the one who was drawing during
fell
Sunday
asleep.
school.
Ugh.
21.
Poorly, so
And Daria, you can roll
16.
twice. You have advantage. Greater
Wow.
advantage. Okay, 16. What?
yeah.
18.
That's
All right.
I mean, it's 11, but like it's still a 1.
So, Thora, in your preparation for hunting the undead, which was kind of a big deal to you at the shrine, you recall studying and reading in one book that for Madam Desteria to heal from her wounds, she would have to find a source of cheese. And that must be where she's gone.
Cheese again.
Makes
Again,
sense. Makes
yeah.
sense.
Moral Khan, you're pretty sure. And Duriel, you're absolutely positive. What'd you roll the second time?
26.
A vampire that's forced into gaseous form has to reach their coffin within a certain number of minutes or they will disintegrate. So the odds are that she's in the coffin are pretty strong, unless she has another
Well-
one that she continued on to.
So he's
Well, there
gonna.
better be cheese in that box, otherwise she's dead.
Yes, exactly.
I'm assuming there's cheese somewhere. Like,
There
Exactly,
must be
Thora.
cheese in there, or she's dead.
Well put, sir. Does anybody have a piece of wood we could use as a stake? I'm pretty sure Madam Momo is right in that coffin. We're
Well-
gonna need to stake her as quickly as possible.
What
I have a
about
staff.
what about Sunshine Man here?
Yeah. What
I mean,
about
could we just
Radiant Den,
open
which is
it
not
and
gonna
he
be
shines
enough?
really bright and poof?
Oh, Delia, I don't know what makes me happier. The fact that you would suggest disintegrating this vampire with holy light, or the fact that you didn't call him by his name. I love both of those things. You are my best friend.
wow. And a bond is forged.
I love that idea. We should try it, but we should also have a stake on hand just in case the light isn't quite enough. It will probably weaken her and then stabby.
What is my harpoon made of? It's made of
It's
metal.
made of metal.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the odds are that your harpoon is made of solid metal with wood overlay.
Is there a chair or something that the dragon can break a leg off of? And
In here, there
Yeah.
does not appear to be. But then again, if you were a vampire, would you keep a lot of wood in your coffin area?
yes,
What about
yes,
the
yes.
table? What about the table that the thing is sitting, that was just sitting off to the left?
You mean the stand?
Yeah.
Appears to be made of wrought iron. What do you mean? Do you mean the table that she has on? Her, like the viscera and the skulls in her card display?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
mean that table?
Yeah.
It's made of plastic. No, yeah, it's wood.
Okay. Cool.
It is
I will walk over.
vibranium.
It's vibrant. It's made out of skulls. She went through this necromancer phase. Was just
Enduriel,
yeah.
do you
No,
have a
it's-
Enduriel, do you have a spare knife?
You can use my kukri. What do you have in mind?
May I? And if you hand it over, he will sharpen the bottom of his staff.
Okay.
Oh, that will do.
What seems like it could come
Yes,
in
he's-
handy later.
Well done, Thora. That sounds good to me. So
We'll be ready.
now we have a
Okay,
sharpened
well,
staff.
And I walk over to that table and I rip off a leg, and I'll take my devil blind and I'll sharpen up a stake, and I'll hand it over to I'll toss it over to Odelia.
So in
I'll
case Thora misses, like, oh,
I don't think it's a bad
Hey.
idea for everybody to have one.
Let's all
Yeah.
have a backup, shall we?
okay.
That's
Smart
the
smart
whole
plan.
thing.
Okay.
Like I've hunted. I don't hunt undead on a regular basis, let alone vampires. I just know that they don't particularly care for my presence. So I'm going off of your lead here, Enduriel. So sharpening some wooden stakes here.
You've got good instincts there, dragon. I do hunt vampires regularly, and this is going to be. There's no way this plan can fail.
Okay.
Don't think that's a great way to start this out.
Sure.
I'm a
Given our-
retired vampire.
given our
and
track
There
record.
are as many ways this can fail.
This is going to go fine, you guys. It's a great plan. I like it.
Okay.
I will go
well,
over to the coffin. I will flip the lid, and then you turn on the brightness. All right.
Yep. Oh yeah. So I'll stand right there next to the lid of the coffin, and I've got a whole but I'm gonna just unleash a deluge of just radiance as he opens up that coffin. So
Actually, Thora, would you mind opening the coffin? I don't want to be super close to the dragon when he goes all radiant.
I can
Just
do
in
that.
case. Just
It's a
in
good
case.
call.
Not a
Thank
bad
you.
idea.
Thank you, sir.
So Thora's got like the bottom of his staff by one hand and like the coffin lid with the other.
so I don't have my stake ready to go. I'm going to take like one whole round of combat to just do all the cleric attacks I can do.
Okay. Just a remembrance, Moralcon, you're now standing on unholy ground, and you were having a hard time channeling divinity in the first place.
Well, I'm holding the flute still, am I not?
I was. I will.
Oh,
hand the flute
you
to
are now. Okay.
He could pass it to you, be like, "Hey, give me the flute. Like,
Yeah.
Thora, can I?
can I touch your flute?"
Yeah, take it.
Okay, I have the flute now.
Okay. You have the flute, and you can definitely feel a stronger spiritual contact, but it also feels weakened here in the area of unholy ground on which her coffin is located.
Well, I can't really play a tune, so I guess now or never. We're gonna have to make do with what we've got.
Okay, who's opening it?
Thora.
All right. Thora, you go to open the coffin, and it will not open.
Use that beefy golem arm of yours.
He can't.
Yeah, because I haven't been able to get more lay energy.
Well,
Oh.
you could try to get more lay energy down here. You are in the earth.
Okay, I'll shoot for it.
So Thora is like it's somehow you see no lock on the outside of the coffin, but somehow it's sealed.
Okay, so he tries and he doesn't, and he goes, hold on 1 second. And he's going to like just kneel for a second on the ground and just see if he can gather something.
Okay, the ground is stone. You would have to touch the walls that are made of earth.
Okay, then he will do that instead.
All right. So Thora, what I'm going to need for you to do is I'm going to need for you to make a very high DC'd nature check in
Okay.
order for you to pull this madness off. As you start the chant that the Grand Druid taught you to make contact with the ley line,
Okay.
to both heighten your senses ritually and also to be able to detect the presence of the earth's veins. So you reach out and go ahead and make a knowledge nature check, please.
While he is doing this, I'll look to Anduriel and just see if he knows any tricks or anything to get inside this, since he's
You look like
These are
you've probably
Van
opened a
Helsing.
few of these. All you fanged people open these, don't you? Like,
he's our resident Van Helsing here, so I'm
All right,
looking to him
Thora?
to see why we can open this.
27.
ooh, good roll. All right, so here's what happens, Thora. You perform the ritual in order to make contact with the ley line, and you reach out, and you do feel the pulsing energy of life of the earth itself. But along with it, there is this vile and foul, unholy taint. And shadow and darkness is wrapped all around it, to the extent that you almost feel like you're drawing poison into yourself. You break out into a thick sweat, and you begin panting, and you have a hard time catching your breath, and coronavirus it gets you. I mean, just it's horrible, and you start to feel like you're going to pass out, but you concentrate enough and it managed to siphon the ley line energy through the taint of this land. But it's so hard at the end of it, it leaves you physically exhausted and you kind of just collapse to the floor. The power, your arm goes and it lights up with those crisscrossing veins on that arm of yours. They light up with green life energy, but it takes it from you. And you realize that for some reason, tapping ley line energy here is dangerous. And you pulled it off, but you feel like if you had misstepped, it would have harmed you. So keeping that in mind. You're recharged, my friend. Hopefully.
So Thor looks like Dookie.
Yeah. And you guys are watching this too. He's like,
Right.
like he goes green, and I mean, he could if he wanted to. He's a druid, but he goes green, not in the good way.
Are you okay?
He holds up his other hand and like he's able to like move it around and articulate it easier again. And he goes, "No." But I did what I had to.
I don't think you guys have ever seen him recharge the energy of his hell-wrought limbs before either. He's always done it privately. So you become aware of the fact that he seems to re-energize his mechanical limbs using the energy of the earth, and it did not go well.
Interesting.
There's something dark in this land. Honestly, Anduriel, you may be able to tell me more about what I felt. It was dark. It was
tainted.
I don't know. I don't know what could feel that dark.
Is that a religion check if I wanted to
Yeah.
see? Okay. 20.
Okay. So, Anduriel, you are aware that there are places in the Shadowfell, which is kind of like the world's dark mirror, right? The Shadowfell is very closely connected to the Pit of Shadows. The Pit of Shadows is Nalok's realm, right? And it's not in the Shadowfell, but it touches it. And it's kind of a realm of the world's dark reflection. It's a realm not just of death, but of undeath and of corruption and of evil, where evil things go to be trapped and tortured. It's a bad place. It's kind of the opposite of the Feywild. The Feywild is life and energy and excitement and too much of everything. And the Shadowfell is the opposite. It is darkness and maliciousness and evil and loss.
He's gonna tell him that, like,
it's kind of what he's describing.
It seems that you've experienced some sort of ill effects of the Shadowfell, sort of a between area. This is not a good place for you to be, for any of us, really. Let's do this job and get out as quickly as we can.
That was terrible.
Laura, as you move away from the wall, you get the feeling that the earth wanted to hurt you. Like, you feel better as you move away from it, which is unusual because it's certainly not your experience, and certainly doesn't reflect your bond to the land.
Yeah.
But in any
case, he kind of mumbles that under his breath, that he's like, I've never been afraid of whatever. And now he's going to kind of shift where he was standing and be like, all right, I think it's going to work this time.
Okay.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah. You gonna try to break it open or just force it open?
It's gonna be a force, but like, I'm thinking So it like with his regular hand, he just kind of hooked the lid and was trying to lift it.
Mhm.
This time he's literally going to like pierce the wood on the side and flip.
Okay. All right.
Look at the table.
Go ahead and do I have any special notes written on your arm ability about objects?
Not objects, but I wasn't planning on using Golem Punch. I was
Mhm.
planning on just using the flat strength bonus.
Yeah,
that
you absolutely can.
comes with it.
So
Okay.
go ahead. What strength does the arm have? Remind me.
It's a strength of 22.
Okay, so you have a +6 to this check and half your level.
+6 and half my level, so +11. Here we go. That is a 24.
Okay. So
That's
Thora,
good, that's good.
you go snap, and you flip the lid off the top of this with that, and your arm is like like there's just loud metallic sound that echoes in the chamber, and all of you are like, oh, like it was so loud, and it's so quiet in here that it's just kind of unnerving. And the lid of the coffin flips off and falls to the ground with a loud metallic clang. And you look inside and see, with her hand over her chest like this and her mouth shut, looking for all the world like she's already dead, is the form of Madam Desteria. And she does look severely wounded, and her clothes are shredded, particularly from the wall of thorns. I mean, she just looks to be in tatters, but you can tell that her wounds are slowly closing.
Go
I
dragon.
will channel divinity.
Hey, Morocon, you have the
I have the flute.
Okay,
Yep.
you're still going to need to make a knowledge religion check because you're standing on unholy ground. But the
Oh, I'm so
DC will
glad I'm
not be as high.
I'm so glad I am trained in religion. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. 27.
Woo.
Ooh.
Noise.
Okay, Morocon, again, your chest and your holy symbol explodes with sunlight, kind of just filling this whole room, as it were, with daylight, as though the sun had pierced the ground and were gracing this room with its presence. Madam Desteria bursts into flames and begins to shriek.
I don't stop. So
Okay,
that's do I do the radiant damage now, or is that after
Well,
when she
I'll-
takes her turn?
I'll
Or
tell you what happens.
because I'm ready. I've got another action ready to go. I can do Brand of the Sun, which does radiant damage, because
Okay.
I'm about to ready to do that.
Madam Desteria bursts into flames, and it is now initiative as she is up and moving. Unless somebody
Alrighty.
else would like to do something.
Stab,
I
stab, stab.
Thora
So,
has
yeah,
taken
my-
a turn.
Aim
Morocon
for
has
the
taken a
heart.
turn. Odelia
Well-
and Enduriel, you may also act in the surprise round.
Well, channeling divinity is a minor action. Can I?
You only
Can
get
I
one
punch?
action in the surprise round, my friend.
Okay. Well, I did the good thing. So
You did the good thing. Well, moreover, any vampire that can't get out of direct sunlight, which is what your aura channels, will be disintegrated in one round.
okay,
Odelia and
well,
Enduriel,
Stabby stab.
you're going to stab her?
Yeah, it's a 23.
Okay, go ahead and roll damage.
ah,
Are you just taking a melee basic?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a 10 damage.
Okay. Enduriel, anything you would like to do?
I would like to stab as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try. That is a. Oh, it's only a melee basic, huh?
Well, I don't know because I don't know what you're doing. You just said I'm gonna stab her. You have a lot of
Stabbing her with.
stabbies.
I'm stabbing her with my thing.
With a melee basic or power?
Yeah.
Just okay.
Oh no, I don't have a. I guess. Ooh, I guess I could try weapon of divine protection, but using the stake.
If you want.
you'd want to use the Leviathan's tooth.
And shove everybody against the walls.
Then she'd be out of your aura.
Ooh, that's true.
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh
not.
yeah,
Gonna use that.
okay. Yeah, use that sharpened piece of wood I handed you.
Wooed.
Yes, that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do it with the weapon of divine protection. So
Okay.
I'm going to take my roll and use that. That's a cleric attack, so that's going to be a 24 versus armor class.
Well, given the fact that she was unconscious, yeah, you hit her. That wouldn't normally hit her, but in the circumstance, lying in a box, it hit her.
Okay, let me roll damage. 4, 5, 6 plus 5. 12 points of damage, and allies adjacent to me get +2 to their defenses.
Okay,
Ooh.
with the little that she had healed, unfortunately, Enduriel, you stab her, and Odelia stabs her with her harpoon, and the two of you kind of just stick her into the coffin, and she's stuck there by these two blades. And on the following round, at the beginning of her turn, she can't really get away, and she disintegrates under the light of Morokhan's aura. And she lets out just this unholy shriek as she crumbles into dust in front of you, just and then there is nothing but vampire dust everywhere. And the chamber briefly begins to quake around you. Like a tremor is happening, and the room begins to shake around you. And very, very briefly, you catch the feeling that someone is watching you from somewhere else, like there are eyes upon you. The kind of creepy, someone's looking at you from around the corner, but there is no corner in this room. Somebody is seeing you from a hidden position of some kind, and you as you are all just kind of looking around like somebody's watching me, like I can tell somebody's watching me, you hear a very, very wispy voice leak in, and it says, "You will pay." And it just kind of moves through the room like a breeze, and that's it. And then the room is left in silence, and all you hear again is the drip, 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 drip of the water.
I do everything I can to just completely destroy the coffin.
You're like, you shine the flashlight on her toes. Gonna make sure all those toes, like, nope, not like down there. Over there, gonna get
Right.
Not a piece.
I see it. There's a piece of ear. I gotta like, okay. Morokhan, she is in pieces. In
No,
dust.
I mean like she's gone. I mean the coffin.
Yeah. So
I want to destroy the coffin.
The coffin starts to burn and crackle, but before you do any serious damage to it, you can no longer sustain your aura, and it just fades away. You do see that left behind in the coffin is her deck of fate.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna pick that up.
That seems.
You picked it up? All right. Morokhan, you picked up Madam Desteria's dark deck of fate. Would you please make a dumbass roll? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was
Oh,
going to
sorry,
say
drawing
something,
a-
but
No.
then I was like, I
drawing a
remember that
card.
time
Yeah.
I drank the blood, and so I can't say anything. So it's like, yeah, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, just pick. All right. Morokhan,
I'm
you
not
pick
drawing
up
a card. I'm just picking up the deck.
You pick up her deck, and feel the urge to draw a card. If you would please, make a saving throw.
No. Oh no. Oh.
Back to
is
sleep.
there a specific kind of saving throw?
Yes,
Or-
a 1 die 20 that succeeds.
Okay.
What's that, Morokhan? What'd you roll there? Wasn't a 10, was it? That wasn't a 10, was it? I know you want it to be a 10. You could,
wasn't.
however, use your last seership roll. I don't know if it was good enough.
No, my last seership roll was a death save. So,
You have 3 that you can use per day, remember? Did you use them all?
per day?
Yes, you have 3
Oh.
rolls per day. You can only use 1 per encounter, but you can use 3 per day.
Okay. Well, in that case,
Was either
it's
one of those a 10?
one of them was.
Okay.
The other one was not.
Do you want to use it or do you want to try your luck?
I would like to use the 11 that I rolled.
Okay, so Moroccan, you go reaching down and you're like, oh, take a deck. And you go reaching down to grab it. And then all of a sudden, through your mind's eye, an image flashes of you taking the deck and pulling a card, and then a devil jumping onto your back and stabbing you with its barbed tail. And you're like, no. The rest of you see Moroccan reach out, and then his eyes start emitting this white light, and then he stops and goes, Odelia, make an Arcana check, please.
Maybe we shouldn't touch this.
I think
Yeah.
that's a 20.
Okay,
There's
Odelia,
a 20.
you're reasonably sure that touching the deck would be dangerous, but if touching the deck would be dangerous, right? Well, we don't really know because technically Moroccan saw into the future before that actually happened. But you realize that if touching the deck is dangerous, you could flip it over with your dagger and put it into something. You could also wrap it up with a cloth and not actually make physical contact with it, and that would probably keep you safe.
I was like, look, boys. I mean, clearly we can't just leave this here to fall into the wrong hands, but let's not touch it, eh? And she's going to pull a cloth out of her bag and parcel it up.
Okay. All right. So you can put that on your character sheet. You now have the Dark Deck of Fate.
Hooray.
Super.
And touching the Dark Deck of Fate is very dangerous.
Put that away for a rainy day.
Well, you could use it against people. I mean, if you think about it, there are a number of ways that you could try to use it against someone, but I'd be careful.
Not really Odelia's MO.
Thora's gonna start investigating the room.
Okay, you hear from down the drain, you hear the Vistani woman yell, "Is everything all right? Is it finished?"
She's ash.
She is disintegrated.
She's gone.
All right, she says, "I will wait up here for you. We have things to discuss when you return."
How do we get to where you are?
Well, I can crawl.
Up, he can go back up
Probably
as
the
bugs.
same way we came in.
I don't know. How can the rest of you get back?
I'll do what I did. I don't know if
Is it an
Moroccan's
encounter
able to-
power or a daily, Anduriel?
It is Shadow Leap is an encounter.
Oh, good thing, because I'd hate to think it was a daily
Right.
and you were stuck down here for a day.
So
What about you, Moroccan? Was it a
My
daily?
teleportation. No, my teleportation's an encounter power, so
Okay.
I can grab Odelia and pop out.
Okay. All right. So you go looking around the room, and as I told you, you find that book with the ink on it, and you also find that chest on the other side of the coffin. There's also a
Thora's
big
more-
pile of dust.
Well, yeah. Thora's personally more interested in the book. He
All right,
wants
Thora.
to see what all this is.
You can go flippy.
Yeah.
So Thora, you go flipping through the book, and you discover that the book is mostly blank pages as you go flipping through it. But you get to the middle, and you do find one entry, which is
in the middle.
very strange. Who writes in the middle of a book, right?
What?
But there does seem to be some kind of message there, and I've already emailed it to you. You gonna read it to everybody?
I will. My very dear Desteria, I'm so incredibly pleased to see how well in hand you have your little corner of the world. I was particularly impressed by the decision to recruit the Rose Ladies from the land of Borka. My exchanges with the ruler of that domain across the mist, Ivana Boritsky, have been cursory at best, but given the delightful menace her nobles exude, perhaps I would seek further correspondence. The poisoned touch of the Baroness's new ladies-in-waiting has instilled an entirely new flavor of dread amongst the people that will help in breaking their sinful pride. The people of Port Revalia will soon repent their ancestors' wicked pride. I suspect they will soon find themselves eager to assist in locating the vessel of summer, so that this island can become the paradise it was always meant to be. Once their compliance is gently coaxed, perhaps we shall lift the penance that provides them to the opportunity to see life through our eternal night-blessed eyes. Until that time, remember that visages and masks are your allies. Your mask as the helpful seer guiding caravans to safety, the port's mask of celebration in the face of their suffering, not the least of which is the state of the church and the bell tower. Remember, the more antiquated and abandoned they look, the less likely anyone will suspect the secrets within, thus continuing the current production. The play's the thing, my dear Desteria. May everyone continue to deliver their lines as written. To writ, see that your sister and any visitors do not rise to the level of interference. Things are going so well, it would be a shame to spoil the scene as set. I expect to hear the moment you have seen girl Sibella. All my respect and devotion. E. Spooky!
EA.
Do we know anyone
just-
with that initial?
I don't know anyone with that initial, I don't think.
You might.
Bow.
You might have heard someone with an E earlier, but if you don't remember, that's not the dungeon master's fault. We got campaign notes.
Can I roll for it?
He seems to have too much pleasure in us not remembering, so probably.
Right. I've written down a great deal of names, and none of them begin with an E.
Yeah, and that might be, I'm in the same boat, and that might be because I was literally like, phonetics.
And Duriel, I know, has heard the name because on the stream he repeated that name and went, huh.
That's right.
But that's okay.
JT doesn't look happy.
Now I can think of as enchiladas.
Yes. It is from the Enchilada Lord, who is the dark lord of this whole domain.
We just need to destroy all the food trucks.
I don't want to talk about it. Not your business.
That was so punny.
Good
I
stuff.
don't
The
even have
demigod.
kids, and I love this stuff.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm sure
The
Poinketh will enjoy that
demigod.
too.
The demigod of
Puns.
the Chalupa Cabra.
Yeah, the Chalupa Cabra. I love it. You could always take what you have and bring it to the other Vistani woman. You don't really know her yet, though.
Well, it seems to me that whoever wrote this letter didn't want this other Vistani woman as part of it. So, I mean, seems like she might be a good resource for us.
The enemy of my enemy.
Exactly. I would agree,
I don't-
Odelia.
I don't know that we need to solve this mystery right now in this pit of yucky. We could probably get out of here and sort everything out topside, as it were.
Is there anything else in this pit worth exploring, or we're pretty much done now, right?
There's the chest.
Oh yeah, the chest. Yeah, I'll make my way over to the chest.
Yeah, check
See if
it
we can-
out.
Yeah,
You gonna go look at the chest?
I'm gonna go look at the chest.
You gonna go touch that too, Morocco?
Well, I'd like to examine it first and make sure, like, there's.
No, feel free. Everybody go ahead and make a perception check if you would.
right. Oop. 14.
Oh, perception. I'm so glad I am so great at perception. I rolled a 14 as well.
All right.
That's a 9.
A 9. What about oh no. John looks like he's frozen and he's the best trained one here.
Sorry, my internet died.
There we go.
20.
Okay.
Oh,
So, none of you thinks that the chest is trapped in any way that you can perceive. You've certainly seen better chests, but you don't really think that there's anything wrong with this one.
all right. I try to open it.
Okay.
Is it locked?
Got a lock on it.
It is locked.
Like a padlock? Like I can smash the lock and it'll
You
open
could
right
easily
up,
smash.
or-
Yeah, you could easily smash the lock with an eagle claw
Oh.
strike.
Cool. Well, I don't want to destroy the contents of the chest, but yeah, I'll break the lock if I can.
All right. So Moroccan with an eagle claw strike, which does double damage to objects, just basically goes like he reaches out, and in a blow that seems like there's no way he could possibly be this precise, with like 4 fingers, shatters the metal, and it falls in pieces all around, leaving the chest completely unharmed. And he looks back like, like yeah. And I mean,
There aren't many things I can do.
yeah,
There aren't many things I can do well, but breaking things I can do very
breaking objects.
He's
All right.
exceptional.
So you want to open up that chest?
well. I will open it.
All right, you find a container, just kind of a basket with 10,000 gold pieces in it.
Bleh.
It is a small fortune, but I will tell you what is interesting about it is you look in there and some of the coins you recognize as Tarsirian crowns. That's kind of the coinage they use in New Tarsa, right? Some of the coins have minotaur heads on them. Others of the coins have rulers on there that you don't recognize. Some of them are non-standard sizes. Some of them are teeny tiny, and some of them look to be made of gold that looks a little odd. Thora, make a nature check if you would, please.
24.
Thora, you're very familiar with the periodic table, and you're looking at gold that could not be found on this world. Like you're like, our gold doesn't look like that. Like the spectrum of different everything from pyrite to 100% pure gold. You're like, this gold is more pure, and it's not found on Ienia. And you see the same thing in the silver pieces and the same thing in the copper. There's a wider variety of minerals here than you would find on just one planet. And you get the impression looking at these coins that maybe they've been collected from Toril, from Kryn, from Ienia, and from any number of different worlds. It's all gold, it'll all spend, but
This is extra planar.
Well, let's maybe not spend this then.
What on earth would it be doing here?
that is
Space
a
money.
good question.
Hmm.
You also see inside of it a sheaf of notes, a small crystal bird, and something made out of cloth that you would have to take out of it to see what it was.
Yeah, I'll pull that cloth thing out. I'll hand
Okay.
the papers to Thora to read. I'll hand the bird to Anduriel to examine. Like I'm
Or
just
you read
here,
this, and Duriel, play with
here,
the bird.
here. Like I'm just distributing
Okay.
everything around. So I'll pull out that cloth. Is there anything else in the chest, or is that pretty much it now?
Nope, it's most of it was the coinage, but that cloth. All right, so you pull this cloth out, Moroccan, and it's a dress. It is a beautiful, beautiful lacy gown. Okay, but here's the deal: it's enchanted armor, and around this gown is tied a colorful Vistani sash The gown itself is made of some kind of white metallic material that looks like maybe it was woven with metal threads. And it is giving off the most powerful enchantment you have ever felt on a set of armor.
Interesting.
Is it his size?
Well, it's cloth armor, so anybody who doesn't wear armor, like Odelia can't really use it because she wears armor, but and Thora, you I think also wear leather armor, correct? So the two of you can't really use this, but Anduriel, you don't wear armor, right?
I have Shadowgate armor, actually.
Oh, you do. So the only one who could probably make use of this is Moralcon.
Okay. Can any of you guys examine this and maybe suss out just what exactly this is?
Odelia could.
Would that be an Arcana check?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm all tied up looking at this bird that you gave me.
Anduriel, Moralcon gave you the bird. And
Sounds right.
There was a
Fair enough.
it's fitting.
there's little meta, but okay.
Yeah.
Anduriel, it looks like it's about to move. Like you even your eye catches for a second because you're like, I swear it just moved. Guys, it just moved. I swear. Like it just moves, and you can also, even to your untrained senses, feel powerful magic radiating off of it.
I only rolled a 13 on the Arcana check.
So, Odelia, all you can really tell with that is that this gown, it has some kind of radiant enchantment on it. It seems to capture the light. And you're not sure exactly what that means, but it's powerful, whatever it is. And it's not just this white silvery material too. There is a colorful Vistani sash tied around the waist, and it looks like it's woven into the dress itself. But as you touch it, it like thrums with energy.
But this is like a woman's dress, though. Correct?
Yes, it is it's
It's not something I could
definitely a
just.
dress.
Like maybe
It's
you
not
could make it
something
into
I-
a kilt or something. I don't know.
Well, you could hike it up. I mean, you could do all kinds of things with it. And
Your loins.
if any one of you took the ritual, like Thora can use rituals, and Odelia can too. She has the Riverborn Ritualist feat. If you guys bought the enchant an item ritual, you could reshape it with that ritual if you wanted to, but you would have to find some place to purchase the ritual. But like I said, it's giving off incredibly powerful magic. None of the four of you are wearing magical armor that is equal to this gown. And a very strong aura is coming off of the crystal bird as well. Thora, as Anduriel kind of examines it, you look at it and you can see it's a Vistachiri. It's a crystal Vistachiri. And you know that the Vistachiri are they're quite distinctly known for being able to repeat sounds.
Oh.
So like a magpie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thora will relay that. And Duriel, the bird, can. It's very adept at repeating phrases. So if we can find out how to activate it, perhaps it has a message.
He's gonna hand it to him. Go for it.
Okay. So while you guys were fiddling around with it, like bird, speak, like while you guys are fiddling around, Odelia, are you looking through the papers then while they're okay? So here's what you see, Odelia. You see a bunch of notes, a bunch of research notes. Someone appeared to be looking for something they were calling the Song of Rebirth, and they have a number of suggested locations where they think the song could be found. One of them is Golden Field, and whoever wrote these notes posits that Golden Field is the supposed location of the song, and clues to its whereabouts might be discovered there. And the interesting thing that you read amongst these is that the author of the notes, whoever put them together, thought that the song was so powerful that it probably is lingering in the air wherever it was first sung. And anyway, the other location it posits is the Heartsong Cathedral. And then there are notes mentioning, given that it's the last accepted church religious structure on the island, it makes sense that it might be secreted there where it would be guarded from discovery. And then there are some notes about the song being the key to her undoing.
This looks very promising.
But that's about it. Doesn't really say who her is.
I mean, there's a couple of hers I'd like to undo on this island.
Well, one of them you just did.
More since reading that little note now.
Right.
Exactly.
So is there any, does it give mention to any music or something? Like we could play for the flute that we have?
You don't really know. There are mentions amongst the notes that the music could even be written down. Like, she suspects that if the song itself isn't hanging in the air wherever it was first sung, that it's probably written down in music, either in Golden Field or in the cathedral.
Is the cathedral that church we were in before?
You don't know. You're new to this island.
I'm asking these guys if they think it is.
I suppose it's possible, but a cathedral is rather large, and where we stayed in was rather itty bitty.
I think we're looking for a different structure.
I wonder if we're going to have to find our way, like the key to her undoing. I don't trust this countess lady. It all seems very fishy. I wonder if that's maybe the seat of her power.
It could be.
Perhaps the Vistani ladies up top could help us answer some of these questions. Because
yes, we should probably
also, what
get
type
out of this
day
hole.
do you suppose it is now? We've been in this dark tent for a while.
It is probably almost revelry hour.
And
in fact, it might even be going on right now.
That's late afternoon, right?
That's noon.
Yeah, it's kind of
noon. Okay. We're fine.
Noon. Okay.
We're
yep,
fine.
from
We've
noon
got
to
time.
1 o'clock.
I just want to keep an eye on the clock so we don't leave Barrett with all the vampires at sundown.
Right. Okay. Well, let's try to stash what we can and take all of this out of here, and maybe that Vistani lady can help us divine some answers.
Okay.
She might even be able to activate the bird without us putting effort into it.
Yeah, maybe she can teach us a tune.
Sure.
So I'll give you guys a target, and he will melt and crawl up the sewer pipe, so you guys have a target to teleport to.
Okay. So Thora, you go crawling, like scuttering up. You come out there, and the other Vistana woman is standing up in the tent, but she's holding a glowing sphere of light in her hand, and the whole area is illuminated.
That's helpful.
And you come crawling up, and she's like, "Ooh," and she backs up a few steps, still is holding the light up, but is like, yucky bugs.
All the bugs are like,
yeah. All the bugs look at her. Okay. So, Anduriel, you managed to catch his shadow and teleport up. And Morocon and Odelia, you splash the shadow up in a little burst of sunlight.
Yep.
And you're all up there. So you pop up to the top, and the other Vistana woman, she says, "I am Madam Magda, and you will forever have my gratitude for what you have done here today. ending this darkness and ending the suffering of many people. And she says, I think we should leave this accursed tent. She says, I have undone the curse upon the walls of the tent. We are free to leave. Perhaps we go back to my Vardo, yes, for tea and chat.
Yes, indeed, we should.
Okay.
As long as there's no dancing involved, lead on.
Oh, she says, oh, reveille. You are okay to run? Yes?
If we can get out of here.
She bolts out the front door like, I don't want to sing. I don't want to sing. Like, she just bolts. Okay.
Right. And I try hard to catch up and keep up.
Okay.
Just have wee legs.
I turn around, come back, and pick up Odelia and start running.
Football carry.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys do manage to leave, and you come out, and it's really quite interesting because you step out and you feel like, oh, I've made it. You see people are just kind of beginning to congregate, and then you make it halfway to her Vardo, and all of a sudden, okay, and everybody, I mean, it just, everybody, you know, if the music, dancing, and everybody congregates, and everybody's out in the street dancing, and you're caught up in the middle of it. And Odelia sideways is like, what will you do, having been caught in the middle of revelry hour?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Let's dance our way through.
Once I'm able to, I'm going to probably teleport another 8 squares with Odelia, just farther away, just trying to get out of the group.
Okay.
Swimming upstream like every minute or whatever.
Okay. So Morocon, you vanish and teleport in a separate encounter 10 more squares, and you vanish, and everyone is like, oh, like there's a bunch of gasping at the site, and then clapping like it was a performance or something. And then you pop up, and a bunch of people scream as you pop up 10, down 10 steps away in the street. And as she's leading the way, Madam Magda is just like, and she looks like she's making a token effort to look like she's dancing, because as we're moving through the crowds of people in the street, it becomes obvious that we're not really participating at this point. And she leads you over down by the docks where her Vardo is. She has a colorful yellow and blue wagon with just a team of horses tied up in front of the wagon, not really hitched to it, but a team of horses just sitting there munching grass. And the people are dancing and singing at the docks, just like they were previously. All along the way, people try to kind of invite you, hey, come dance with us. And somebody reaches out, and Madam Magda goes, slaps a hand down, like, no, and yet at the same time, it's like, whatever. And then she opens up her Vardo and crawls inside and beckons for you to come in there too. And
in we go.
It's a pretty big wagon, all things considered. Being that a Vardo wagon is a Vistani's home, there's space enough in there for people to sit comfortably at their full height and then some. It's a tall, wide wagon that's designed to kind of take up, most of the street as it moves down. And
is it like a TARDIS?
What's that?
Is it bigger on the end? Is it like a TARDIS? Is it bigger on the inside?
It's not a Harry Potter tent. Okay, it's not bigger on the inside. You can tell how big it is from the outside, but the music is still going. And as the last of you comes in, she rushes over and slams the door, and just is like, "Ugh, forgive me. But after so many days of being here, may I just say, I am beginning to hate parties.
We've been here one day and I agree with you, so no problem.
I feel like you already hated parties, though.
That's fair.
I do love a
Thora
party,
reforming because he was
Ugh.
anti-touch is like,
but
Okay.
so you were just a
So-
pool of bugs like scurrying
Well,
through the streets
I-
this whole time.
the joke I was gonna say is like anytime somebody gets close, I'm using swarm dispersal to literally like have them pass through me. Just like disgusting. Like everybody's like,
Gross.
ooh, Marocon. And if they see Thora walking through, everybody's just horrified.
Just
'Cause
ugh!
this man
Okay.
is literally like phasing through people.
Well, it's pretty creepy what's happening, and there's teleporting. You guys are making, like, you're drawing all kinds of attention to yourself. But perhaps what's drawing even more attention is the fact that you're not really participating. And that, of course, is the big no-no, right? So anyway, she sits down at this kind of table that folds out from the side of her Vardo, and she sets out a teapot and just lights a little flame under her stove that's built into the wagon on one side and sets the kettle on to boil. And she says, "You have my eternal gratitude for what you have done today. Although I cannot speak of some of it, I will tell you that because of what you have done, I may now leave here and return to my task, return to my tribe, as it were. Tell me, how is it that you have come to be here?"
Point out window at ship.
We were rather our deities have summoned us here to cleanse this island, apparently.
We were blown
I-
off course by a storm.
That is a very common story for how travelers end up here. Tell me, did you perchance have a moment to see the other ships that are docked in the harbor?
No. We got here during the first revel. When we first arrived, it was revelry hour, so people were dancing, and then it's a long story, but no, we haven't.
And she says, "I see. It is likely that everyone who was upon those ships is dead, either food for the vampires at night, or they were lost to someone else. But the inhabitants who dock in Port Revalia, unless they quickly move on to Striganesca, they do not long survive their time here. Those other ships, as far as I know, are most likely abandoned from all kinds of worlds. I do not know how they are lured here precisely." And she says, "I know it has something to do with what is called the Vessel of Summer, but I do not know exactly what that is. I only know that the people on the lady's errand were looking for something, the Vessel of Summer. That is all I was ever able to learn. And so you were lured here, you say. Your ship blew off course.
Yes, in a storm.
That is one way that ships are lured to this accursed island. I myself traveled the mists to get here. I came in search of my sister." And then she stops talking and goes over and starts fiddling with the tea packets.
Was your sister the one? Who was your sister?
"My sister is dead. We do not speak of her."
But hypothetically, if she was still alive, who would she be?
All right. She doesn't answer. And she doesn't look at you.
Oh, for Pete's sake. fine. Well, what you say that now that we've done what we've done, you can return. What was your mission here? What was holding you here?
And she said, as I said, I came here to undo the harm that my people felt responsible for. Having seen that that has now been done, I am free to return to Madam Iovana and to my people.
So the vampire that we just dusted.
She looks sad, and she doesn't say anything, Thora, but she doesn't look at you, but she inclines her head ever so slightly.
And what harm had she done here in the town? Because I see killing her hasn't undone this whole revelry business.
Well, no. The revelry, as far as I know, was come by commandment of the Countess. Or at least that is what the Baroness has communicated. But the revelry hour has been a tradition here for at least 2 generations, as far as I was able to determine. Of course, the people, they do not speak much to me. I suspect that they have been ordered not to do so.
By whom?
My guess? By the Baroness. And if I had to guess, the Baroness was taking her orders from... And she stops talking. Someone else.
We had a feeling that the Baroness was... I mean, the term is a snake, but I think that gives a bad name to snakes.
Indeed. The serpent is a most powerful entity, and
It is indeed.
often misaligned.
That's true. Speaking of animals, and he will pull out the little crystal bird.
A Vistachiri! And she looks and she smiles and she says, that is a treasure of the Stravanesca task. It belongs to my people. And she says, the crystal Vistachiri has the power to capture songs and stories and absolutely anything. As our people, it is against our traditions to write things down. We pass on knowledge through song, through story. This would be one way of preserving those things, so that the death of no single Vistana is the loss of a treasured song or story or piece of information. There is no telling what secret this Vistachiri might have or what it might contain for you. And she looks at you, Thora, for a minute, and she says, my sense is that you are meant to hold on to it for a while. But when it has served its purpose, were you to return it to me, Madam Iovana would truly reward you.
Well, I would hate to separate you from an heirloom forever, but if
Well,
we're meant to have it...
The things that belong to us have a way of finding their way back to us, no?
Very true.
Do you know how to see if there's something saved on it now?
Well, there are any number of things that could be saved upon it now. The way that you would do it is to command it to repeat what you wanted it to know. For instance, you would say, Vistachiri, sing me this song, and then it would repeat the song, or tell me this story, and it would repeat the story. You would need to know what you were looking for in order to get the information from it.
I see.
Well, we know the name of the song.
Oh,
You do.
that's right.
Yes, we do.
It's the Song of Life?
Song of Rebirth.
Song of Rebirth. And he's going to pause for just a second, and then say, may I?
Of course, but I do not believe that you will have any luck.
Might as well try. Vistachiri, could you sing the Song of Rebirth?
Okay, the crystal Vistachiri bird comes alive in your hand, and it turns and hops like a bird would, hops in hopping motions, turns in your hand, flaps its wings a couple times the way birds do without taking off, and then looks up at you, and then it goes back into its dormant state again with its wings at its side. And she says, I did not suspect that you would have much luck. You see, the Song of Rebirth is no mere melody. Have you perchance heard of it? What it is?
I have not, but could you play the song for us so that the Vistachiri could repeat it?
She says, no one living has heard that melody. I can tell you that. You see, the Song of Rebirth has not been sung since the Countess used it to bring life and food back to this island. It was the song given to her by the gods to restore peace and fertility to this island.
So the Countess has heard it or has sung it before.
Indeed, she likely still has the gift of this song, if she is the living saint that all claim her to be.
I have my doubts about that.
That wouldn't explain the curse in the ground.
Right.
Or the curse on these people.
I must confess, I have suspected that such may be true for quite some time. I do not believe that the Countess is all that they say that she is. However, I could be wrong. You understand that I have seen her, as many have seen her. I have seen her perform miracles of healing, and of course, her beauty is, well, it is unearthly, let me say. She gives off such a feeling of peace and serenity. It is difficult to imagine her as less than the stories portray her. She lives up to the legend. But was she imprisoned or her power somehow suppressed? That would make more sense to me. But you understand, I have only seen her the once. Other than that, we have not seen her for years, of course.
So you said you've seen her perform her healing miracles. What can you tell us the story of what you saw?
And she says, I have indeed. You must understand, I saw her when she came last. It was somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 years ago during high festival season. She came, and as I understand it, she healed the daughter of one of the villagers, lame from almost birth. And she rose up and walked and continues to this day. It was most miraculous. I have seen Madam Iovana perform great magics. I am no stranger to enchantment myself, as I can tell the four of you are as well. But I have never seen magic like she worked that day. It was most powerful.
Do you know if anyone has stories of her performing a healing besides this one daughter of a farmer, whatever?
Well, I do not know if it is true because I have stayed when I visit to Port Revalria. You understand, I have not dwelt here for months at a time. I have visited frequently whenever there was a sign, whenever I was able to read in the crystals that there was hope for the town. Then I would come and I would visit and stay, but I have not been here for months on end until recently. The town of Striganesca, they say she visits them with more frequency, but that is only hearsay. I do not know if it is true. I myself have never been to Striganesca.
Above game, could you repeat the task's leader's name?
The leader of her task, Madam Iovana.
Ivana.
Madam Iovana.
Okay.
How would you
Gotcha.
spell that?
Iovanna.
Okay. In that case, Thora's going to pipe in and say, we found a correspondence down in the vampire's lair with the name Ivana Boritsi on it.
Oh, that's
recognize-
Ivana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different character, which is why I wanted to
Yeah.
check with you. But yeah,
Do you tell her this, that you found that?
yes.
She says, that would be from the domain of Borka. It is another land in the mists, not far from the land of Barovia also. It is possible to reach that land across the ocean from Desmer. It did not used to be, but every year that passes, this island drifts further into the clutches of the Shadowfell. I suspect that after a time, it will no longer even be possible to reach this island from your world.
Do you... And he's going to show her the note.
The notes?
Yeah. Specifically the one from E.
All right.
And ask if this sounds familiar, if this sign off looks familiar, anything like that.
So she looks in the book and she says, do you know what this is?
No.
It is a journey book. It is a most useful item of magic. With this book, you can write messages in it that appear in its sister book. From across virtually any distance, there are some journey books that are so powerful they can transmit messages across the planes.
Wow.
Of course, there is no telling who has the sister copy of this book. You could be writing to virtually anyone. Did it come with ink?
There was ink in the chamber.
Some sort of feather.
It is very possible that it is not possible to write in this book with anything but the ink and feather that were with it. If you meant to use it, that is. But I would be careful using such a thing. There is no telling who has the other copy of it. And she goes looking over it and she reads and she says, E, do you have any idea who this was addressed to? Who might hold the other copy?
I don't.
Orokan looks to Anduriel.
I feel like it's locked somewhere in my memories.
It could be.
Perhaps with your gypsy magic, you can shake it loose.
She says, you wish me to read the crystals for you, yes?
Absolutely, that.
I may be able to point you in your next direction if I do so. And she looks kind of excited. Like she was hoping somebody would ask her to crystal read, right? And then she kind of launches into this explanation of how most Vistani practice cartomancy, divining the future by reading the cards. It is an inferior art. It is so much guessing and so much intuition. And yes, intuition, she is part of divination, yes? But with the... no, come, I show you. And she goes Agra with the crystals, like dark crystal, and lays out this bundle of crystals in front. And she goes, well, it's better if you pick. You pick. You pick the crystal that speaks to you.
Okay. Are there any differences that I can discern from the crystals?
They have different striations in them, the way diamonds would have different imperfections. So there are some that have, like prismatic striations through them, some that are large, some that are small, some that are flat, some that have more facets than the other. But you can pick whatever, you can describe whatever crystal you think would most appeal to your character.
He's going to...
But no crystal myth, none of that.
The blue one.
Never let us have any fun.
I know.
Thanks a lot. I thought gypsies were down with that. Okay. He's gonna just choose one that has it sort of looks smoky is what it is. It's like grays and blacks, but the texture almost seems to move as he kind of holds it in his hand and moves it around.
Okay.
So that's the one he will select.
What about the rest of you? What would a crystal that you would
Oh.
select look like?
No touching.
Oh,
you,
I
rest of
thought
you.
this was
No touching.
just Anduriel. I wasn't going to
No, she
interfere.
looks at the rest of you like, go, peek.
Ooh,
Touchy.
Morocon. That one kind of looks like an old lady's brooch. It's probably yours.
Um, Thora
I
reaches
channel
out.
divinity.
And all of a sudden, Werther's originals come out everywhere.
Okay, there's not.
Shouldn't be
Thora's
hard
gonna
to-
reach out and are they crystals or are they like stones?
They're crystals.
Okay. He reaches out and he kind of like shuffles through them a little bit. And the one he finds, if you guys are familiar with like the patterns of malachite, which is like a green stone that like forms rings in its pattern, that's kind of the pattern he finds with like an off green color.
Okay. Morocon?
He will find the one that's the the one that's the most radiant, like
Okay.
a silvery, shiny.
There's one that
Crystal.
seems like it gives off more light or it captures more light. And that one is the kind that Odelia pulls out.
no, this is the one for Moricon.
Oh,
Silvery
right there.
light one.
Okay.
Silvery.
Odelia pulls one out that looks like it could be just a sphere of water, and the way the light catches
yes.
it looks like that, like the water could even be like churning and moving as the light reflects through the crystal.
Okay. She says, good, excellent. Now, take the crystal and rub across your center chakra like this, over your forehead. Touch it to your chakra.
I'll look at
Okay. Done.
I'll look
She
at
says-
Thora and be like, "What's a chakra?"
And she points to your forehead and she says, let the crystal feed on your aura. Which you're like, ain't nobody feeding on my aura without parental permission, lady. It's not. And then
Right.
she tells you, now touch it to your wrist chakra, your right, your left, okay? And she says to your belly, and leave it over your heart. Okay, so does everybody follow her
Okay.
instructions and rub the crystal like it's deodorant?
Why not?
Okay,
Yeah.
very nice. All right, so some of you are like, what in
Yeah.
the world I am doing? And
Well,
she reaches out to first. There we go. Okay, so she reaches out first to Anduriel, like you're to drop it in her hand.
He does so.
All right, so instead of catching it, she goes like that with her hands and she traps it in the air in her hands. And her eyes go white with light and she sheds forth a light that pierces the crystal and washes over Anduriel. And then behind Anduriel, the light forms into kind of this image in the air, like almost like a television screen or something like that. And you see Anduriel in a castle surrounded by nobles in masquerade regalia, and they're dancing. And Anduriel finds himself dancing with different women as the scene flashes, right? It shifts and he's dancing with a short brunette in a red velvet dress. Then he's dancing with a tall white-haired elven woman in a cream gown with hair that goes all the way, past to her feet. And then it shifts over to a Vistani woman wearing a gem encrusted gown with raven tresses. And, he's just continually dancing with woman after woman in this masquerade. And she looks and she says, "You will dance again. You have danced this way before, no? In a dream." And she...
Yes, actually.
"You can choose to play along or not. There is a chance that if you play along, you will learn. But if you break the scene that has been set for you in the dream, escape it, make it your own, flee from it, you will see more than the dream bringer intends." And then she reaches up and takes the crystal, and the image fades, and she very carefully replaces the crystal in her little satchel that she lays out. And she leans over and holds her hand out for Odelia to drop the crystal in it. So you drop it, and the same thing, she goes like that, and the crystal starts spinning, and her eyes shed this light, and it envelops Odelia. And then behind Odelia, this image kind of appears in the air of Odelia in the middle of a lake or a pond, with mist kind of clinging to the pond as though it were early morning. And Odelia seems to be in a rowboat, and she's rowing across this pond or this lake all by herself. And then all of a sudden, kraken tentacles come up out of the water and surround the rowboat and crush it to splinters. And another one grabs Odelia and lifts her into the air, and she skewers it on her harpoon, preventing it from closing. And then the whole rest of the scene is her trying to keep from being dragged under the water, which she's managing to do. But it's this struggle over the water, and she says, "This water is cursed to travel. But if you can cleanse it, you will find a window into the powers of nature and help in your quest in this land." And she says, "Seek the home by the water's edge. You will learn much there from one who also bears a curse." And then she reaches out and grabs the crystal and the vision vanishes. She replaces it in the little sleeve. And then she looks over to Thora, and she holds her hand out. And once again, she lifts her hands, and the crystal stops and starts spinning midair. And she sees, the light from her eyes casts over Thora, and behind him forms this vision. You see Thora standing in a field of golden wheat. And Thora, you're walking through this field of wheat, but have you ever seen that Twilight episode where the kid sends people to the corn maze? you're in the corn maze, Thora, and the image backs away, and you can see miles and miles and miles of corn, or wheat or yellow grain. I mean, who knows exactly what it is? And she looks and she says, "The song that you seek will be found amidst fields of gold. With them, you will create as the world serpent itself creates. You will ride his tail across many steps. This music is the most potent weapon against the darkness in the whole of this land." And she says, "But beware, there are spirits trapped within the gold of this field, and their cries are used to exhaust the land." And then she shakes off and snatches the crystal up, and she starts to look like she's getting pretty tired, like this has taken something out of her. And she takes a deep breath and replaces the crystal, and then waits a minute, and she takes a sip of her tea before continuing, puts her hands on the edge of the table, takes another deep breath, and puts her hand in front of Moroccan like this.
Do you wish to continue?
That is your
Okay.
choice. I
You
make
seem
the offering,
exhausted.
and I will be more tired still perhaps at the end, but I have offered.
I will send a healing word her way to try to help revitalize her a little bit.
Okay.
And then yeah, I will. Then once I send the healing word over to her, then I'll hold out my crystal.
Okay, once again, she goes like that instead of catching it, and the crystal spins, and her eyes flicker with weak light that just gets stronger as she concentrates, and it washes over Moroccan, and behind him in the air form images. Moroccan is spinning and prancing among row after row of fine dresses, puffy petticoats, loud, audacious hats, and jewel-encrusted shoes. And she looks at you and she says,
Are you sure this isn't meant for Lachlan?
no, but I'm sure he's jealous. And she says, "You must go where beauty and fashion are the obsession, in Striganesca. There," she says, "seeking the vessel of summer is more like the seeking of a crown rather than being chosen victim. You will find there another child who needs your help amidst all of the finery of that city." And then she snatches up the crystal and sits down and is like, whew, and puts the crystal away. And she says, "Such clear indications of where you may go. From what I have heard, they will not be difficult to find across the island, presuming, of course, that you can travel safely through the wilderness."
We do have a druid.
All right. She says, "However, it sounds to me as though the curse over Port Revaria has not yet been broken." And then she looks at that journey book and she says, "Do you intend to follow the information in the book? Seek out the church and the bell tower?"
If that's what it takes to end this curse, I think we have to. I think we must.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I agree.
I think we owe it to the citizens suffering in the Port Revalia that we should help them.
Very well. She says, "If it is your intention then to help, then the least that I can do is offer you something to aid you on your way. And she reaches down into a cabinet and she pulls out 4 potions and lays them out on the table in front of you. And she says, potions of vitality. These will heal you when your own formidable healing abilities perhaps are waning or expended. So you may each add a potion of vitality to your character sheet. When you drink it, it will heal, it'll take 1 healing surge, but instead of healing 10 hit points, it will heal 25.
Ooh.
And it's only a minor action to use it, of course.
So we don't have to roll for it. It's just a chug plus 25.
Yep. It's a potion of vitality. It's a much stronger version of a healing potion.
Awesome. Wow. Okay.
And she says to you, I will also perform one more divination for you and seek the answer to one question that you may have in the spirit world. It is all that I can offer you before I must leave.
When you say a question for the spirit world, I mean, what does that mean? I'm not very familiar with what kinds of things we could ask.
She says, what I do not know, what cannot be divined simply from the land, the spirits of our ancestors might know. It will not necessarily be everything that you wish, but the dead know many things, no? I will seek out and try to find this answer for you. That is the last help I can offer you.
The name of the E guy.
The name?
Yes.
Okay. She says, you wish to know who made the mark of this E at the end of the letter, yes?
Do we want to know that, or do we want to know who the big bad endgame person is for this?
So you're going to tell her, look, if this were Avengers Endgame, who would have the gauntlet?
Right.
You're like,
who is Thanos in this situation?
you would have to word that
Is-
in terminology that she would be able to take to the ancestors.
Right. Yeah. Do we want to figure out who E is? Do we want to figure out who the puppet master is of the whole island being cursed the way it is? Like,
is it
not
the
just
whole island
Revalia,
that's
but
cursed? Or is it just Revalia? Are we talking about different curses with the whole vampires at night thing?
Well,
I look at, I'm remembering what Thor went through and seeing what, like, with the land, and I'm assuming that the land itself, the island of whole is
Aura's experience would seem to indicate there is a taint in the land. But you've also heard that traveling the wilderness is not safe.
Right.
I would also like to add that whoever this E guy is wants Sabella.
Right.
Like,
do we want to?
And
I don't know that we want to know why.
yeah.
I mean, I would like to know why, but that's something that I don't know that the dead would be able to answer us.
Well, she seems pretty confident that she's going to be able to get you some kind of an answer, but you'll have to word your question very carefully.
So something.
What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Right.
An African swallow or a European swallow?
Oh wait, I don't.
Ah! One has to know these things when you're a king. That's not. Well, on the plus side, I think this is a good place for us to stop. So I think that
Yeah.
we can Facebook chat what you want this question to be
Yeah.
throughout the week as the next
One question
session.
each, or just one question from the group?
One question. No, she can go back to the ancestors 5 times. She's like, and another thing, like, yeah, she's offering you to the answer of one
I don't
question.
know if she do.
Yeah. She will offer you the answer to one question. And I think that will be a good place for us to stop for the moment. So we will ponder this and pick up with the answer to that question next week when we do session 10, which will be our final session of this season as we come to the conclusion of the first season of our Ravenloft campaign here amongst our Holy Rollers group. So anyway, that's where we leave things at the moment. We will pick them up next Thursday in our final session for this season, and then we'll talk about when our next season happens. We might pick it up next Halloween and do more spooky at that time. We might pick it up earlier. We'll have to talk about that. But for the moment, we will call this a fitting place to pause. And we here on our stream here like to finish up with an inspirational thought of some kind. Sometimes that thought is a quote, sometimes it's scripture, sometimes it's just a random thought we had throughout the day, sometimes it's a positive encouragement. If that's not your cup of tea, feel free to shut off the stream now, and we thank you for listening. And if it is your cup of tea, we're happy to have you stick around for this part of it too. But we'll turn the time over now to JT to share that thought.
You're muted.
Get it together, JT. You're still muted.
I'm not. I was just pretending.
Yeah,
but
Can you guys hear him?
do you hear those?
So
Just kidding.
this is just a whisper. So today, I kind of got inspiration from sort of what the day is for us here in the States, Veterans Day, and Winston Churchill. There's a quote that he said, "Never so much owed by so many to so few," and we talk about heroes. I went on Tuesday night and saw the Eternals, and we're a bunch of nerds here. We love comic books, we love superheroes and all this stuff. And I just want to say thank you to like real heroes, people who it's a small amount of the population that goes and protects the freedoms of our country, and I'm just really appreciative of that. I have family members who have served in the armed forces, and I'm just so impressed and so grateful for them. And I echo Winston Churchill when he says, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." The freedoms that we enjoy really are owed to a lot of those men and women who sacrifice so much for us. So that's kind of my thought today. Is just thank you. Thank you to everybody who does that on a daily basis today and who did it previous and made that sacrifice. So thank you.
Yeah.
Love it. Other accompanying thoughts?
Just really quick shout out to own family member who is a honorable discharge, retired. I'm not sure 100% what the wordage is, but shout out to my cousin Ian, 3 years younger than me, ex-Army Ranger. Like,
Thank you.
He did things like and that he's not even allowed to talk about. But he changed things. And so like just shout out to my cousin Ian. Like, thank you for what you did. Love you. It's been way too long since I've seen you. Hit me up. You have my number.
Very nice.
Yes. Thank you for putting yourself in harm's way for us. Words can't express.
Love you, cuz.
Tommy, looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to say thank you to with families who sacrifice so much, sending their loved ones, on tours of duty and uprooting their family as they get reassigned so much. Like there's so much sacrifice involved in serving in the armed forces, not just by the person in the uniform, but by their loved ones as well.
Benjamin, anything to add?
Here. Shout out to my dad. My parents are old. I was an oops baby, and they had me when they were in their 40s, and where I'm almost 40 myself.
Oh wow.
My dad was drafted at the tail end of Vietnam, and yeah, he served during the Vietnam conflict, and shout out to my dad and what all he went through, and helping me to talk me out of joining the armed forces twice.
No.
After telling me the experiences that he's gone through. It is not for everybody, and it's not for the faint of heart. And my dad didn't have much choice as he was drafted into it, but he's grateful for the experience that he had, and as am I.
And that just reminded me, you talking about them being in the Vietnam War. Embrace the World War II veterans while you can. We are probably going to be the last generation to have first-person knowledge of one of the most horrible wars in the entire world, and that first-person knowledge is important. So learn what you can while you can.
Yeah, not a lot of people left from that generation, that's for sure. My father was a Vietnam vet, and echoing kind of what Tommy said, the trauma of war and what veterans go through takes from people, and it does give beautiful things in return for people whose freedoms are maintained, but it takes from families, it takes from individuals, it takes things that are frequently precious and can't be given back. But that being said, it's a good reason to be grateful. I'm glad that I don't have to live my life doing the kind of things that my dad did. My dad would have been drafted just like Ben's dad. So he enlisted because he was going to be drafted. And I wonder sometimes how his life might have been different had he not been through what he went through in that, and how our lives, being raised by a man with PTSD and many other problems too, how it would have been different. So it takes, from multiple generations sometimes, but it's worth it. It's worth the price of liberty. And I think that's the good thought to end on. We're grateful for the service of our armed men and women in uniform. And with that, we will close for the night. Thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.